Hello and welcome, my name is Dan, and this might come as a surprise to some people, but I like video games and books. Better yet, when people put books into video games and make amazing video games based on book series. So obviously one of the most recent examples of this is the Witcher series, which was amazing. But without any concrete plans from CD Projekt Red to make another Witcher game in the future, I still have some good news for you. So as a little wee kid who still lived in Poland, I've also enjoyed this fantasy book series by Jacek Piekara, who wrote these books about an inquisitor in this very dark, cynical world. So basically the setting is that when Jesus was crucified, he didn't really just die peacefully. He kind of got really mad and gathered a massive army of angels and killed every sinner on this planet. Which obviously led to lots of crusades, and eventually Jesus has kind of disappeared in the sort of like lands of Europe, never to be seen again. So obviously Christianity is a big thing in those series, and the main hero is an inquisitor who basically just travels around their provinces looking for heretics, witches, demons and whatnot. The world itself is very cynical, main hero is very nihilistic. All the stories are sort of detective-like stories with low fantasy settings where the main culprit would always be some kind of a demon or a witch or warlock of empire. So overall, that created a very nice dark fantasy setting, and I always thought that this series would make a very nice video game series. I've always imagined it as an RPG, a dark fantasy RPG with lots of detective mechanics and very interesting stories to play through. And it seems that after all these years, my wishes were finally answered, and the series is getting its own video game series, or a video game at least. So recently, on the 26th of March, the publishers of those books have released this post on Facebook, basically saying that those books will have their own game. So obviously being very excited, I couldn't wait to hear who's gonna make it and what it's gonna look like. So let's have a read. So the post was actually quite long and obviously in Polish. I've cut out the most important bits and translated it to English just so I don't have to translate it myself. I'm gonna read some of it. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I am very pleased to inform you that work on a high-budget computer game begins, the action of which will be located in a world of novels and stories about inquisitors. This world described so far in 12 volumes is the universe of an alternative renaissance. Here the Emperor Jesus Christ is venerated as the Avenger and Conqueror. Christianity struggles with the followers of the old gods and adapts black magic, and angels and demons explicitly interfere in the lives of people. So as I said, this is the main setting in those games. In the first few books, this was a very sort of low fantasy setting. In later books, he kind of, I don't know, maybe he got a bit lazy or a bit dried out, and he made it a bit too fantasy. It's like there's too much magic and the Inquisitors are way overpowered. But anyways, let's continue reading this post. The contract concluded with the Dust, over which we have worked almost a quarter of a year, in consultation with law firms specializing in copyright issues, says that the game we created will be available on all leading hardware platforms, present and future, so it's gonna be this gen's graphics basically, but still be accessible on the next gen consoles, that's what I'm assuming. But either way, I don't imagine this will have amazing graphics based on that sentence. We also allow the possibility of creating games or games for mobile platforms. Oh boy. More details about the project will be presented at the June press conference, and I would like to answer only one often repeated question. Will the story keep the dark and gloomy atmosphere of the literary prototype? In consultation with the Dust, we decided that we would care a lot about it, and that we would develop the game focusing on classifying it at the least PG-16, which is alright. We have many months of work on the project, and I sincerely hope that we will give you a finished piece of work even more enthusiasm than now when we make our first steps. My dream is that we can tell players, we will lead you to places where you will experience unique adventures and where you will meet people for whom, for good or for bad, you will think of as your enemies and friends of flesh and blood. Adventure, carousel, but also an emotional roller coaster. And if you get off him emotionally sore and this is a Polish word. Remember, that's what we wanted. So basically he's saying, okay, so we want this game to be as dark as the books, and we want the adventures to be very meaningful. We want to have very good characters in the game, very well-written NPCs. So this does seem like a very deep project from that kind of perspective that will need lots of budget to have well-written dialogues, well-written story, to be well acted. But let's continue reading. I will have the pleasure to participate in the team's activities, using both my literary experience and professional experience covering several years of work in computer games magazines, which allowed me to gain knowledge about the segment of the entertainment market. The author actually used to write, I think he was the main editor in some kind of gaming magazine in the past. So he does know video games. I think he's a gamer as well. He's very well versed with game mechanics, how they work, etc, etc. So if he has all the money and the developers are skilled enough and talented enough, we could potentially get a very good game. So what was the developers called? Dead Dust. Okay, so I'm assuming it's gonna be a Polish developer company. So let's look them up. Dead Dust. The main page. Okay, so it's all in Polish. It says mobile. The whole sentence translates to: we connect companies with their audiences in the mobile world. Okay, so they make mobile games and apps for companies. Let's have a look at some of their previous projects and what they made in the past. Okay, so they have a game called Timbuk Prank, which Timbuk is a juice company. So is that a game that they made for a juice company? Let's go on YouTube and type that in. Okay, Timbuk Prank. Let's have a look. So basic sort of app from the looks of it at the moment, with a camera option and some filters. Okay. Yeah, that's not really even a game. Okay, so let's have a look at Kubush Play. So this is some kind of a first-person Labyrinth game with other mini-games, I'm assuming, in which all of them you collect water bottles. I mean, not water bottles, juice bottles. I mean, obviously this is going to be aimed at children and a juice company, so it's not going to be dark fantasy. But this isn't anything that kind of inspires great hopes when it comes to a dark RPG game, does it? Cyber Strike, okay. So that looks kind of more cyberpunky, something that could potentially be a bit more deeper. Okay, so let's have a look at the gameplay of this. So you run through a corridor, a bit like in Final Fantasy XIII, and you press a button to attack, and it auto-aims into your enemies, and then you have a special power that you kind of, I guess, recharge.
Enemy neutralized.
Right. It doesn't really look like anything that would inspire great confidence in the fact that they are capable of making a very nice dark fantasy RPG, but okay, I'll give them benefit of a doubt still. What else did they make? They made Detective Positivka. Let's have a look at that. So, okay, yeah, I'm not even gonna bother YouTubing this stuff. This is clearly just a find an item kind of a game where you have a hand-drawn sort of environment in which you have to find, oh, look for an umbrella, look for a spider, look for a telescope, whatever. What else have you got? This looks kind of cool, some kind of sci-fi setting, as you can tell, probably. Oh wait, the screenshots look kind of like the last game that we had a look at. What was it called? Cyber something. It's pretty much the same thing. You run through a corridor and you shoot things. With special abilities. The UI is pretty much the same too. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on those products. They might be fun games in their own right, but it's just not really something that you would put on your portfolio and be like, look at this that I've made before. Based on this, I can make a story-driven RPG. What else is there? Oh, The Last Run. Okay. It's a game that's called The Last Run. I'm guessing the run bit is the sort of important part in this game. So let's have a look at that too.
I will kill you! I will eat
you, piece by piece. You will beg me for a quick death, and at the end I will find everyone who is still alive, and I'll do the same to them. Prepare yourself.
Okay, that's enough of that. I just want to see some gameplay now. Right. Oh, look! Another corridor-based game where you run and you shoot. Okay. Is there some kind of a stamina meter? Is that why he's gasping for air? Jesus Christ. Right, I'm gonna stop this here before I lose any will to live. Okay, so by the looks of things, it's a company that makes apps for companies like juice companies, and they made a couple of very similar mobile games. I don't know, maybe from those projects from the past, they've earned enough money to actually be able to make a proper video game, but whether they have the experience and the talent to make something very good with the franchise of this, I'm not too sure, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so that's it from me. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this project. How does it look to you? Do you think there's any chance that they'll make anything remotely as good as The Witcher? Subscribe to this channel for more videos every weekend, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.